Margaret with Raise a Vibration, and today you are in for another special author interview with the lovely Zia Nix. There she is. Hello, beautiful.
Hi.
Yes, we can hear her. Okay, beautiful. Excellent. Hi there. It's such a pleasure having you on here. Thanks so much for doing this bright and early on a Saturday morning. I'm seeing we have some awesome people watching already. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. We are doing these author interviews every week to feature one of the 52 authors who have contributed to this compilation book coming out called Raise Vibration, a Weekly Guide. And what this is, and Zia has been a big part of this process. So I'm so excited to have you on this week, Zia, because not only is she like a sister, she and her husband Kai are like family to Anthony and me, but just the part that the role you played in this book, just the encouraging words you would always provide, but also just the incredible feedback and a super awesome idea that we're going to tell the viewers about in just a little bit, but it's just meant so much to me. So Zia, I want to hear from you in just a second about your background, just so everyone can hear that in your own words. But I want to also just share with the people who are watching us for the first time at these author interviews, who are like, what are you talking about? What book? In March of 2020, once lockdown started, anybody, I'm sure a lot of us were feeling like anyone who's a teacher or a helper or healer anyway, somebody who wants to support people's processing going through a difficult time. I was feeling that same way, and I just thought, what can I do in order to help this situation? What can I do with myself to feel like I'm proactive in this? And then how can I give people some sort of anchor through this experience? And I was just sitting with that, and I heard, get them to focus on their resilience. And so that is what I did. I reached out to a bunch of my dear friends and colleagues and say, hey, what do you think about writing a story about 1,000 words or less, and make it all about something that you overcame, and including some lesson that you wish you had known during that time, that the reader can glean and use for any future challenges that they may have. So we had 52 authors show up for it, including Anthony and I. And so we're featuring one each week, and each one has shared their stories of resilience. Your story we're going to get to in a second, but before we do, I just want you to share with everybody who you are and give us a little background about yourself, Zia.
Right. Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me and for inviting me to be a part of this beautiful book. It's really, watching it come together was
oh my gosh,
a beautiful, beautiful experience. The stories are beautiful. It's it's a kind of like a chicken soup for the soul.
Yeah.
With essential oils mixed in. So I'm really, really proud to be a part of it. It was a beautiful experience. And a little bit about myself. Well, oh goodness, I'm on a lifelong search for inner peace and ecstatic love. And I am from New York, still living in New York. We're actually getting ready, my husband and I are getting ready to go on an adventure of travel in a number of different places. And so, I live for adventure. I live to learn and grow and, experience deep, intimate relationships with people who are special in my life. And I'm a chiropractor, and I'm deep into plant medicine, deep into essential oils, and really on a quest to squeeze as much juice as I can out of this lifetime.
Absolutely. You're one of the most dedicated seekers that I know. You just got back from several weeks in the jungle. Just your commitment to understanding and teaching other people about natural ways just to live and thrive and integrate parts of themselves that feel painful in some way or another is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And we connect on so many levels, you and I, and have had conversations that just kind of last and last.
Yeah, absolutely. I've learned so much from you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you.
It's
Likewise.
one of the most rewarding relationships
I feel the same way.
in life.
I feel the same way. I mean, you're one of my favorite people in the world. I just appreciate how you live your life because, I mean, that's what Raise the Vibration's about. It's about how do we raise our frequency to the point and be in alignment so that we can really savor this life and this great gift that we've been given. How do we explore and have our adventures and make our impact and realize our gifts? And I just, you're definitely a wonderful support for me in that light for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, there's so much available to us, right? So much wonder and awe and adventure and ecstatic joy and ecstatic love available to us. And I think that you know, somehow we've forgotten that.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of the reason that I love going to the jungle, because it helps me to remember that and to be in the magic and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring it
definitely
back so that I can share it and really integrate it into my life and my relationships. And that's one of the reasons that I really love this book, is because through a story we really get to touch that magical, innocent part of ourselves, right? That longs and yearns for connection and for healing, right? And for deep intimacy. And so this book really brings a lot of deep healing, right? And connection with it.
Yeah, connection, healing, being able to kind of dip our toe into the pool of this collective wisdom that the authors offer through their own experiential wisdom. And as you touched on storytelling, this is a practice that is, we have no idea how old it is. It's a practice that has been used through time to pass on wisdom, to process experiences, to help others find a level of being heard, being seen, knowing that we're not going through it alone. And that's been one of my favorite parts going through this book, is reading people's stories. And I don't care if I've read it 10, 12 times each story. Every time I get a little choked up and tears flow, because first of all, I have amazing people in my life and I feel really blessed. And then secondly, all these people just sharing transparently, really touching within themselves the power of their own vulnerability. And you wrote this incredible story, A Surrender to Goodbye. And I want you to share about that, why you chose that particular story, because the theme that we chose each week has a story, each week has a journaling prompt, is related to a chakra. So there's a lot of different interactive elements each week. But this story, I chose Control because it's about death. Right. And we, in this life, as you so beautifully articulate, we only have so much we can control. And so do you want to tell us why you chose this story?
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of stories of resilience, girl. I know that.
There's a lot of reasons why I chose this story. Definitely, it's definitely a point that we can't control, right? In particular, we can't control the choices that another person makes for their life, right? For their journey. And it was a very pivotal conversation that I had with my mother, where she had chosen to transition out of this lifetime. And it's something that I didn't want to hear at the time. And it took me a long time to process this conversation, actually far after she passed, right? And I still am processing it. And the importance of conversation and the intimacy that comes with conversation. It's something that we've lost a lot of with technology, right? We send text messages and we send voice messages, but to actually have a conversation with someone where we're connecting in real time and we're feeling their heart and we're looking into their eyes, right? And having this energy, right? This energetic exchange.
Yeah.
It's something that is so very special. And so I've had experiences in my life that have been transformational and pivotal, but this was a conversation. It was a moment in time that completely changed my life. It changed how I look at health, how I look at life, how I look at choice, right? And how I view control and release into surrender. And so it was and continues to be one of the most important conversations that I've had, and there were so many lessons inside of it for me. And so getting to share that was gave it even more wings, right? It gave it a greater wingspan.
Yeah,
I would say that.
And Rachel, who illustrated the book, it's so cool that you just said that, because Rachel, who illustrated the book, chose an image for your chapter that is, I'm looking at now, but I'm not going to show to anybody yet, but it's this beautiful dove with this olive branch, this piece, and it's just spreading its wings. And I love that you said, when we share our stories, or when we have a conversation rather, it's so rare. It's becoming more and more rare, and we're being seen when we're having a conversation. It's not edited and filtered and all sculpted perfectly. We're being seen for how we're showing up in the moment, and that is becoming such a priceless experience. And also, we get the opportunity to see someone else, and that's what your story is. It touches upon beautifully. Is like, how do you be with somebody's choice if it's different than yours, and how do you let go and accept the moment without trying to change the moment. And what I mean, there's so many. Gosh, we're already touching upon a lot of these messages, but what's the main message that you want for your readers of your story to take away for their own lives?
Oh gosh. Like I said, there's so many lessons that I'm still getting from it. It's really one of the most important, 20 minutes of my life. And so I would say, I think a big lesson would be to be truly present for conversation, for intimacy, to be in the moment. And it was a conversation where my mom told me that really she was ready to move on, right, and transition out of this life. And rather than being present with her words and with her decision and her heart in that moment, it was all the ways instead that I couldn't accept it, and that all the ways that I could change the way that she felt about it, and I could help her to heal, and I could get her today. And I missed really being able to create even more beauty for her in her last days, and for us in the time that we got to be together. And so what I would offer is, to truly be present in the moment, right, in the now. And there's magic that happens, right, when we can be present here. And something I learned in my plant diets in the jungle, that you also learn, I think, in like a Vipassana retreat, would be the only thing that is real and matters is now. Right? To live in the past or in the future is the path to madness. Right? And so to fully be present with her in that moment, I feel would have really honored her and her life and her choices in a much, much greater way and and that's what's important to me now, right? Is her, not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking about me in that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a real sacred, a holy moment that occurs, right? When we get to step outside of ourselves and be fully present without judgment, without desire, without concern of the self.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I mean, just for whatever it's worth, when I read this story of how you were with your mother in her final time here in the physical plane, I can't help think that how loved she felt because of your choices in that moment, despite how you may handle things differently now. Just to feel how you just didn't want her to go. Right. And that was in itself beautiful. I'm going to start tearing up now. This is, it's such a beautiful story. And the last thing I just want you to touch upon, I mean, I'm so grateful to have you be the one who agreed to write the foreword to this book. And you were my top pick for this. And when I was thinking about who I wanted to write for this, and initially you were like, I don't know if I'm the right person. I was like, okay, all right, that's okay. And then I came back and I thought, man, she and her husband wrote stories for this book. And what you shared with me about how when you read it to each other, can you just talk a little bit about that? Because the last thing I want you to share is just like, what did you get out of writing this story? And Zia is the one who is responsible for the blank pages in the back of the book. She's like, well, I think we should, this beautiful, just, brilliant and, brilliant creative bomb you just drop like out of nowhere. I think we should just like give a couple pages at the end for the readers to write their own story. And I just thought, thank you, Zia. Like, of course, this is brilliant. So will you just share a little bit about that, because that touched my heart so deeply.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience for us to write our stories. I've been writing for forever. I love writing, and so to get to write my story was amazing. My husband, we actually wrote his story together, and how it worked was actually I interviewed him, and then I wrote his story for him, and then showed it to him. And when I showed it to him, he cried, and it was a moment where he felt completely seen and heard and understood and appreciated for his experience. And that, if when we can have that, that is just, it's such a blessing, right? It's a miracle. It's a miracle in that moment to be fully seen, and it deepened it really deepened our relationship in such a short time. I mean, he had told me this story before, but for him to be able to see it was, I think it was almost an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
For him to see it articulated in such a way that touched him so much. And so, and for him to be able to read my story also allowed me to be really fully seen and heard and understood in this pivotal moment in my life that really formed who I would be for years to come and continues to. So what it created was deeper intimacy, right? Really.
And what's more important than that? I mean, that's the connection.
After we did that, he was able to connect. My story was about my mother, his story was about his father, and he was able really to connect and feel around his father in ways that he hadn't been able to. It opened up possibilities for really transformation for both of us. Yeah.
So beautiful.
Storytelling is one of the great gifts that we have as humans. Right.
It is, and it's one of the most terrifying things we can do. I mean, the courage of every single author that contributed to this book shared a very vulnerable time in their life and some time where they really struggled. And so I am so grateful that you're able to spend this time with me this morning and just being able to share you with our followers and the people who are going to be purchasing this book to get to know you a little bit more, and they feel you, feel your energy, and just your beautiful radiant light. So I am just so grateful to know you. I thank you so much for being a part of this book, you and Kai, and for you to write the foreword meant so much to me, and just all your support through this. So thank you, Zia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me and for creating this beautiful vehicle for transformation and healing.
So exciting. We just finalized the cover, so it's getting there. So exciting. It's about to be released in June. So it's coming up. All right. Love you, girl. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.